It was the wedding of the year, a breathtaking affair with delicate flower arrangements perfuming the air and joyful laughter echoing throughout the grand hall. The moment had arrived. Jack reached for Emily's hand, ready to say "I do," when suddenly a piercing voice cut through the perfect ceremony. It wasn't an objection from a jealous ex or a mistake in the proceedings. It was his own daughter standing up with tears streaming down her face, determined to stop the wedding. "Dad, you can't marry her," said Olivia, her 12-year-old voice trembling but resolute. The music abruptly stopped. Emily's radiant smile faltered for just a moment before she masked it with confusion. Jack stood frozen at the altar, his expression shifting from joy to concern as he looked at his daughter. The guests turned in their seats, a collective gasp rippling through the crowd. "What's going on, sweetie?" Jack asked gently, his voice breaking the heavy silence that had fallen over the room. Olivia's small chest heaved as she struggled to steady her breathing. Her hands were clenched into tight fists at her sides, her whole body shaking with emotion. "You can't marry her, Dad," she repeated, her eyes wide with fear and determination. "She's not who you think she is." The statement hung in the air like thunder. Guests began to whisper among themselves, exchanging worried glances. Emily took a small step forward in her elegant white gown, her voice dripping with artificial sweetness. "Olivia, darling," she said, "what's wrong? Did something happen? What could drive a young girl to stand against her father on what should be the happiest day of his life? What shocking truth was about to be revealed that would change everything? In just minutes, this wedding would transform from the happiest day of Jack's life into the most chaotic, life-altering moment he could never have anticipated. The tension in the room was palpable, as all eyes shifted between the confused father, the seemingly concerned bride, and the trembling girl standing her ground. Olivia alone knew the truth. She was the only one who could see what her father was too blinded by love to recognize. For weeks, this knowledge had been eating away at her, that persistent feeling that something was deeply wrong. She hadn't wanted to believe it herself. The last thing she wanted was to ruin her father's happiness after seeing him smile again for the first time in years. But the truth was undeniable, and it was about to come to light in front of everyone they knew. Several guests shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Jack's best man placed a supportive hand on his shoulder, while Emily's maid of honor looked on with a mixture of shock and confusion. The wedding officiant cleared his throat, unsure how to proceed with the ceremony. "Sweetheart," Jack tried again, his voice gentle but strained as he stepped away from the altar toward his daughter. "This isn't the time or place. We can talk about whatever's bothering you after the ceremony." Emily's perfect composure began to crack ever so slightly. Those closest to her noticed her knuckles whitening as she gripped her bouquet tighter, her smile becoming increasingly forced. What should Olivia do now? Should she back down and let her father marry a woman who isn't who she claims to be? Or should she risk everything to expose the truth, no matter the cost to her relationship with her father? What would you do in her position? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to hit subscribe as we dive deeper into this family drama that's about to unfold in the most unexpected way. Jack was a well-respected businessman, a widower, and most importantly, a devoted father. His 12-year-old daughter, Olivia, was the center of his universe. Since the tragic loss of his wife, Olivia's mother, to a long illness, Jack had dedicated himself to raising Olivia on his own. Memories of her mother were faint for Olivia, a warm smile, a soft voice singing lullabies, and the lingering scent of lavender that always seemed to follow her. In the years following her mother's death, it had just been Jack and Olivia against the world. Jack worked tirelessly to provide for them, putting in long hours at the office. Yet he never let work interfere with being present in his daughter's life. He was there for every scraped knee, every bedtime story, and every school recital. To Olivia, Jack was not just her father, he was her whole world. Despite the love they shared, Jack carried a sadness that Olivia could sense. It was evident in the way he sat quietly at the dinner table after she had gone to sleep, or in the way he gazed at old photographs of her mother when he thought no one was watching. Jack was lonely, and Olivia understood it. Then one day, Jack met Emily at a charity gala. She seemed to bring a ray of sunshine into his life after years of heartbreak. When he introduced her to Olivia as his new love, it appeared as though their lives were about to change for the better. Emily was beautiful, charming, and appeared genuinely interested in both Jack and Olivia. She offered warmth and companionship, filling the void that had lingered since their loss. At first, Olivia believed Emily was the best thing that had happened to their little family since her mother's passing. Emily laughed with Olivia, baked cookies together, and showered her with affection. For a girl who had grown up without a mother, Emily seemed to be a dream come true. Olivia began to imagine what life would be like when Emily officially became part of their family, envisioning trips to the park, family movie nights, and bedtime stories just like her mother used to tell. But little did she know that dream would soon shatter. Initially, the changes in Emily's behavior were subtle. The warmth she radiated began to fade when Jack was not around. Olivia noticed that Emily's sweet demeanor sometimes morphed into something colder, her patience wearing thin. If Olivia left her toys scattered across the living room, Emily would snap at her to clean up. If Olivia made a mistake at dinner, Emily's eyes would narrow in annoyance, her voice turning sharp as she reprimanded Olivia with words that stung. Gradually, the kindness that had once drawn Olivia to Emily began to feel like a distant memory. Clara's true nature started to emerge behind closed doors. The woman who had seemed so loving and nurturing had a darker side. Emily began to scold Olivia for the smallest infractions, criticizing everything from her appearance to her behavior. "You'll never amount to anything if you keep acting like a child," Emily would sneer, her words laced with disdain. As time passed, Emily's harshness escalated into something more troubling. She began to threaten Olivia, using manipulation to maintain control. On one particularly tense evening, after Olivia accidentally knocked over a vase while playing, Emily grabbed her arm, pulling her close with a dangerous intensity. "Do you know how much that vase cost? If you ever tell your father what I say to you, I'll make sure he never believes you," she hissed, her voice low and menacing. Olivia's heart raced and tears filled her eyes as she nodded, feeling trapped and powerless. From that moment on, Olivia began to see Emily for who she truly was. The facade of the kind, loving woman who had swept into their lives was nothing but a lie. Emily was controlling, cruel, and manipulative. Olivia couldn't understand why Emily had become so different when Jack was not there. She tried harder to be good, to make Emily happy, but nothing seemed to work. The more time that passed, the more oppressive Emily became. Olivia loved her father deeply and didn't want to ruin his newfound happiness. She remained silent, hoping that perhaps Emily would change. But things only grew worse. And Olivia soon realized that Emily's behavior was not just mean-spirited, it was dangerous. The loving stepmother she had once dreamed of was nothing more than a nightmare slowly unfolding before her. As the weeks went by, Emily's behavior toward Olivia became increasingly hostile. What began as cold remarks and veiled threats escalated into outright cruelty. When Jack was home, Emily was the picture of grace, doting on Olivia and laughing at Jack's jokes. But the moment Jack left for work, her demeanor shifted dramatically. Olivia could feel the tension in the air, a stark contrast to the warmth that filled their home when Jack was around. One evening, Olivia was sitting in the living room, lost in her drawings, when Emily walked in, her heels clicking sharply against the floor. Emily glanced at Olivia's artwork and frowned, her irritation apparent. "What are you doing?" she snapped. "That doesn't look like us at all." Without warning, she snatched the drawing from Olivia's hands, her lips curling into a sneer. "You made me look like a monster," she declared, ripping the paper in half and tossing it aside. Olivia felt a chill run down her spine as she watched the pieces fall to the floor. Tears welled in her eyes, but she remained silent, too scared to respond. Emily's voice had turned cold, and Olivia could sense the danger lurking just beneath the surface. "Let me make something clear, Olivia," Emily said, her tone low and threatening. "I'm going to marry your father, and once I do, things are going to change around here. Do you understand?" Feeling utterly defeated, Olivia nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks. She wanted to scream, to tell her father everything, but she knew it would do no good. Emily had already established herself as the perfect fiancée in Jack's eyes. and Olivia feared that he would never believe her. The tension in their household grew unbearable as Olivia tried to navigate the increasingly hostile environment. Days turned into weeks, and Olivia found herself retreating to her room or spending time outside to escape the oppressive atmosphere. The lead-up to the wedding felt like a nightmare, each day more daunting than the last. Olivia couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong, and she was determined to uncover the truth about Emily before it was too late. She needed to protect her father, but how could she expose Emily's true nature when no one else seemed to see it? The stakes were rising, and Olivia knew she had to act before the wedding became a reality. As the wedding day approached, Olivia's unease grew. Emily's behavior intensified, transforming from mere unkindness to something far more sinister. Olivia began to recognize the true extent of Emily's manipulation. The sharp words and cold glares were just the beginning. There was a darkness that lurked beneath the surface, waiting to be unleashed. One evening, while Jack had to work late, Olivia sat in the living room doodling pictures of their family, her dad, herself, and Emily. She clung to the hope that maybe things would get better, that Emily would stop being so harsh. But when Emily entered the room, humming cheerfully, Olivia felt a knot form in her stomach. "What are you drawing?" Emily asked, her tone deceptively sweet. Olivia hesitated, holding up her picture. "It's us," she said softly. But before she could say more, Emily snatched the drawing from her hands, scrutinizing it with a frown. "This doesn't look like us at all. You've made me look terrible." With a swift motion, Emily tore the drawing in half and tossed it onto the floor, her eyes narrowing with irritation. "You know, if your father were here, he'd be so disappointed in you," she sneered. Olivia's heart sank as her cheeks burned with embarrassment. "I'm sorry," she muttered, feeling completely helpless. The real trouble began when Olivia overheard a conversation that would shatter her world. One night, when she was supposed to be asleep, she heard Emily speaking in hushed tones on the phone in the kitchen. Curiosity piqued. Olivia crept closer, her heart racing as she strained to listen. "No, he doesn't suspect a thing," Emily said, her voice low and urgent. "Once the wedding is over, we'll have access to everything. The accounts, the business, all of it." Olivia's stomach twisted in knots. She didn't fully understand what Emily meant, but she knew enough to realize that her father was in danger. The more Olivia listened, the more she realized just how manipulative Emily truly was. It wasn't just Olivia who was at risk. It was Jack's whole life. As the pieces fell into place, Olivia knew she couldn't stay silent any longer. She had to uncover the truth and protect her father, even if it meant risking her own safety. But how could a 12-year-old girl confront an adult who had woven such a complex web of deceit? The clock was ticking, and Olivia was running out of time. As Olivia continued to gather evidence about Emily's true nature, she realized that Emily was becoming increasingly aware of her suspicions. The tension in the household was palpable, and Olivia felt as if she were walking on eggshells. Emily was no longer just a potential stepmother. She had become a threat. It was clear that Emily needed to eliminate Olivia from the equation entirely if she wanted to execute her sinister plan without interference. One afternoon, as Olivia was quietly reading in her room, Emily entered with an unnerving smile plastered on her face. "Sweetheart," she said, her voice dripping with false sweetness, "can you come help me with something?" Olivia hesitated, but didn't want to disobey. "What is it?" she asked cautiously. Emily handed her a small velvet pouch, saying, "Just hold on to this for a moment while I sort through my jewelry." Olivia took the pouch, but unease settled in her stomach. She could feel Emily's eyes on her, assessing her every move. After a few minutes, Olivia asked, "Can I put this down now?" "Of course," Emily replied, her smile still in place. "Just set it on the dresser when you're done." Relieved, Olivia placed the pouch down and attempted to retreat to her room, eager to escape the uncomfortable atmosphere. However, she had no idea that Emily was setting her up for failure. Later that evening, Emily stormed into the living room, her face a mask of outrage. "Jack!" she cried, clutching the now empty velvet pouch. "Something's missing. My necklace, the one you gave me, is gone." Jack looked startled. "What do you mean, gone?" he asked, alarmed. I just had it this afternoon, Emily insisted, her voice trembling with feigned distress. I can't help but think Olivia was the last person to hold it. Olivia froze, panic rising in her chest. I didn't take anything, she protested, her voice shaking. She just asked me to hold it for a minute, but I gave it back. But Emily's theatrics were convincing. Jack, if only you knew how much trouble Olivia has been, she continued, her voice dripping with faux concern. Maybe she needs some structure in her life. Perhaps boarding school would be the right choice for her. Jack sighed, his brow furrowed with concern. Kathy, this is serious. If you did take it, you need to come clean. Olivia's heart sank as she realized Emily's plan was unfolding flawlessly. She felt trapped, and her pleas fell on deaf ears. Emily had successfully framed her, and now Olivia was facing the possibility of being sent away, far from her father and the safety of their home. The following morning, Jack sat down with Olivia at the kitchen table, his expression serious yet soft. He reached for her hand, but Olivia instinctively pulled away, her heart racing. Olivia, we need to talk, he said gently. She could sense the weight of the conversation before it even began. Dad, please, Olivia pleaded, tears brimming in her eyes. I didn't take anything. Emily is lying. She's trying to manipulate you. Jack looked at her, concern etched on his face, but there was a hint of doubt in his eyes. Sweetheart, I want to believe you. I really do. But Emily wouldn't lie about something like this. Olivia's heart sank as she watched his expression shift. She's just trying to make things work for us, Olivia. This is a big change for all of us, and maybe you're just struggling to adjust. I think some time away at boarding school could help you find your footing. Time away? Olivia echoed, her voice trembling. You're sending me away because of her? You don't believe me. Frustration and desperation bubbled inside her as she fought against the tears threatening to spill over. Dad, please, you don't understand what she's really like. But Jack sighed heavily, running a hand through his hair. I know this is difficult, but think of it as an opportunity. It's not punishment, it's a chance for you to grow and learn how to navigate these changes, he said, trying to reassure her. Olivia felt crushed. The thought of being sent away felt like a betrayal, especially when she was trying to protect her father. That night she lay in bed, feeling utterly alone. The weight of the situation bore down on her, and she couldn't shake the feeling of helplessness. Emily had successfully woven her web of lies and manipulation, and now she was standing on the brink of losing everything: her father, her home, and the life she had known. Determined not to let Emily win, Olivia made a decision. She couldn't remain silent any longer. She needed to find a way to prove her innocence and expose the truth about Emily. But how? She felt overwhelmed, knowing that time was running out with the wedding just days away. Olivia knew she had to act quickly and decisively if she wanted to save her father from the impending danger. The next day, Olivia's resolve hardened as she prepared to confront the reality of her situation. She needed proof, something undeniable that would expose Emily's true intentions and save her father from marrying a woman who was clearly deceitful. The stakes had never been higher, and Olivia was determined to act swiftly. While Jack was at work, Olivia took the opportunity to sneak into Emily's room. She knew it was a risky move, but desperation fueled her courage. As she crept through the hallway, her heart raced. She could hear the faint sounds of Emily in the kitchen, busy with preparations for the wedding. This was her chance. Once inside Emily's room, Olivia began searching through drawers and closets, her fingers trembling with anxiety. Most of the room was filled with elegant dresses and accessories, but Olivia was searching for something specific, anything that could provide evidence of Emily's true nature. She rummaged through every corner, her mind racing with thoughts of what she might find. After a few tense moments, Olivia's eyes landed on a small, unmarked bottle tucked away in the back of a closet, hidden behind a stack of shoes. Holding it up to the light, she could see the clear liquid inside. Her heart dropped. Could this be what she feared it was? The poison that Emily had mentioned in her phone conversation. Olivia quickly put the bottle back in its place, making sure not to disturb anything that could expose her presence. She felt a wave of nausea wash over her as she considered the implications of what she had just found. Emily was indeed planning something sinister, and Olivia couldn't shake the feeling that her father's life was at stake. With the bottle tucked away in the back of her mind, Olivia decided to search for more evidence. She remembered how Emily had been secretive about her phone and suddenly felt a surge of determination. If she could find something on Emily's phone, it might be the solid proof she needed to convince Jack. Olivia waited until Emily left the house to run an errand. As soon as the door closed, Olivia dashed to the kitchen where Emily had left her phone on the counter. With her heart racing, she picked it up and quickly unlocked it using the pattern she had memorized. Olivia scrolled through the messages, hoping to uncover something that would confirm her worst fears about Emily's true intentions. What she found next would change everything. As Olivia scrolled through Emily's phone, her heart raced with anticipation and dread. She had seen Emily hide her phone numerous times, always tucking it away when Jack entered the room. Now, with it in her hands, Olivia felt a mix of excitement and fear. This was her opportunity to gather the evidence she needed to protect her father. The messages on the screen began to reveal a disturbing pattern. Olivia's breath hitched as she recognized the name Nathan, someone she had never heard of before. The texts were direct and alarming, filled with discussions about financial matters and plans that included Jack's name. One message read, "Once the wedding is complete, we'll have access to everything, the accounts, the business, all of it." Olivia's stomach twisted in knots. She couldn't fully comprehend the details, but it was clear that Emily's intentions were anything but innocent. The deeper she dug, the more horrified she became. Emily wasn't just manipulating Jack for love, she was plotting something far more sinister. Then Olivia stumbled upon a series of messages that made her blood run cold. Emily casually mentioned plans to eliminate Jack, discussing how they would execute their scheme after the wedding. The words poison and honeymoon jumped off the screen, sending a chill down Olivia's spine. It was all clear now. Emily was planning to get rid of her father and take everything for herself. Olivia felt sick as she read through more messages, confirming her worst fears. Emily and Nathan were not only accomplices in a financial scheme, they were also involved in a personal relationship. The way Emily spoke to Nathan, filled with playful banter and intimate remarks, made it evident that her feelings for Jack were nothing but a facade. With the weight of this revelation crashing down on her, Olivia knew she had to act quickly. If she didn't expose Emily before the wedding, her father's life would be in jeopardy. She needed a plan, and it had to be foolproof. The evidence she had gathered from the phone was crucial, but she needed more than just words on a screen. Olivia felt a surge of determination as she realized that she couldn't let fear hold her back. She had to protect her father, no matter the cost. With the wedding only days away, the clock was ticking, and Olivia knew that time was running out. She had to find a way to reveal Emily's true nature and save Jack from a fate worse than heartbreak. The stakes had never been higher, and Olivia was ready to fight for her family. With the shocking revelations fresh in her mind, Olivia felt a sense of urgency wash over her. She could no longer remain a silent observer while Emily schemed to destroy her father's life. Olivia knew she needed to act fast to prevent the wedding and expose Emily's true nature before it was too late. The more she thought about it, the clearer her plan became. Olivia realized that the wedding would be the perfect opportunity to reveal the truth. With friends and family gathered to celebrate, there would be witnesses to back her claims. Emily couldn't hide behind her facade when so many people were watching. Olivia envisioned a scene where she could present the evidence in front of everyone, leaving no room for doubt. Determined, Olivia began organizing everything she had learned. She quickly jotted down notes, detailing the contents of the messages from Emily's phone, the conversations she had overheard, and even her discovery of the hidden poison. Each piece of information felt like a weapon she could use to protect her father. She wanted to ensure that when she confronted Emily, there would be no escaping the truth. The night before the wedding, Olivia couldn't sleep. Her mind raced, replaying the events that had led her to this moment. She could hear the sounds of the wedding preparations echoing through the house, and it made her heart race with anxiety. As she lay in bed, she thought about how Emily would react when confronted. Would she resort to manipulation, Or would she finally show her true colors? As dawn broke, Olivia felt a surge of determination. She knew she had to gather the evidence and present it at the ceremony. With the USB drive in her pocket, containing all the damning evidence, messages, recordings, and images, Olivia felt a glimmer of hope. This was her chance to save her father from the clutches of someone who clearly didn't care for him. On the morning of the wedding, Olivia prepared herself for the confrontation. She took a deep breath, reminding herself of the love she had for her father and the lengths she would go to protect him. As she got ready, she mentally rehearsed what she would say. She needed to be strong and assertive, ready to stand against Emily's inevitable denial. When she arrived at the venue, the sight of the beautifully decorated space filled her with both dread and resolve. Guests were already mingling, their laughter filling the air, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing beneath the surface. Olivia's heart pounded as she took her place, ready to make her stand and uncover the truth. Today would change everything. The morning of the wedding dawned bright and clear, sunshine streaming through the windows, as if nature itself was oblivious to the drama about to unfold. The house bustled with activity, florists arranging bouquets, caterers setting up elegant displays, and guests arriving in their finest attire. The atmosphere was charged with excitement, but for Olivia it felt suffocating. She sat on the edge of her bed, clutching the USB drive that contained all the evidence she had gathered. Her hands trembled slightly as she contemplated what she was about to do. Interrupting her father's wedding would cause a scene, but the alternative, allowing him to marry a woman who planned to harm him, was unthinkable. From downstairs, Olivia could hear Emily's laughter, light and melodious, charming everyone around her. The sound made Olivia's stomach turn. How could someone so outwardly pleasant harbor such dark intentions? The contrast between Emily's public persona and her true nature was jarring. As Olivia made her way downstairs, she caught glimpses of the transformation taking place in their backyard. White chairs were arranged in neat rows facing an arch adorned with roses. Musicians were setting up in the corner, and the photographer was already capturing candid moments of guests arriving. It was the perfect setting for what should have been a joyous occasion. Jack stood near the entrance, greeting guests with a broad smile. He looked handsome in his tailored suit, his eyes bright with happiness. Olivia's heart ached at the sight. Her father deserved genuine love and happiness, not the deception Emily offered. "There's my beautiful daughter," Jack called out when he spotted Olivia. He pulled her into a warm embrace. "Are you ready for today? It's going to be wonderful." Olivia forced a smile, unable to voice her true feelings. "I'm ready, Dad," she replied, the weight of her words carrying a double meaning only she understood. As the ceremony time approached, guests began taking their seats. Olivia found her place in the front row, her heart racing as she watched her father take his position at the altar. The music swelled, signaling Emily's entrance, and everyone turned to watch as she glided down the aisle in her pristine white gown, a vision of elegance and grace. Emily's smile was radiant as she approached Jack, but Olivia could see the coldness in her eyes when they briefly flicked toward her. It was a subtle reminder of the threat that lurked beneath the surface, visible only to Olivia, who had witnessed Emily's true nature firsthand. The officiant began speaking, his words about love and commitment ringing hollow in Olivia's ears. She gripped the USB drive in her pocket, knowing that the moment of truth was rapidly approaching. As the ceremony progressed, Olivia's resolve strengthened. She couldn't let this charade continue any longer. Her father's life depended on her courage to stand up and reveal the truth, no matter how difficult it might be. As the officiant continued to speak, Olivia felt her heart pounding in her chest. The ceremony was meant to be a celebration of love, but all she could think about was the urgency of her mission. She couldn't allow her father to proceed with the wedding, not when she knew the truth about Emily's intentions. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation, and Olivia could sense the tension building as she prepared to make her move. When the officiant paused and asked, "If anyone has reason to believe these two should not be wed, speak now or forever, hold your peace," Olivia's breath caught in her throat. It was the moment she had been waiting for, the opening she needed to reveal everything. The guests, initially expecting silence, were caught off guard by Olivia's sudden outburst. "Stop!" Olivia shouted, her voice cutting through the air like a knife. Heads turned in shock, and the murmurs of confusion rippled through the audience. Jack blinked in disbelief, and Emily's smile faltered, replaced by a look of annoyance. "Olivia, what are you doing?" Jack asked, stepping forward with concern etched on his face. "Dad, you can't marry her." Olivia's voice trembled with emotion as she looked at her father, her eyes pleading. "She's lying to you. She doesn't love you." The guests gasped, their expressions a mix of surprise and curiosity. Jack's brows furrowed, and he glanced between Olivia and Emily. "What are you talking about, sweetheart?" he asked, his voice steady but tinged with worry. "Please, just listen to me." Olivia continued, desperation lacing her words. "I have proof. She's been manipulating you, and I overheard her talking to someone named Nathan. They're planning something terrible, something that could hurt you." Emily stepped forward, her calm demeanor cracking. "Olivia, this is ridiculous. You're just a child, and you don't understand how things work. You're trying to ruin your father's happiness out of jealousy." "No," Olivia shot back, her determination surging. "I'm trying to protect you, Dad. I have recordings and messages that show everything. You have to believe me." Jack's expression shifted from confusion to concern as he took a step closer to Olivia. "What do you mean? Show me the proof." With shaking hands, Olivia reached into her pocket and pulled out the USB drive. "Everything is on here, please. Just look at it. You need to see the truth." The crowd buzzed with anticipation, and Jack looked at Emily, his eyes searching for answers. The tension was palpable as he considered Olivia's plea, the weight of the moment hanging heavily in the air. This was it, the moment that could either shatter their family or save it. Olivia knew she had to stand firm. The truth would come to light, and she wouldn't let fear hold her back any longer. As Olivia stood before her father and the gathered guests, the weight of the moment pressed heavily on her shoulders. Jack looked at her with a mixture of confusion and concern, while Emily's facade began to crumble, her composure slipping as the tension in the air thickened. "Olivia," Jack said, his voice steady but filled with uncertainty. "What do you mean by the truth? What's on that USB drive?" Olivia took a deep breath, steeling herself for what she had to do. "Please, just give me a moment," she said, her voice trembling slightly. She turned to the officiant, who looked bewildered by the disruption. "Can we plug this into the laptop? I need everyone to see what I've discovered." The officiant nodded, and one of the wedding planners hurried to find a laptop. Olivia's heart raced as she watched the device being connected, the screen lighting up in anticipation. She could feel the eyes of the guests on her, their whispers buzzing like bees around her. "Jack, please," Olivia implored, her eyes locking onto her father's. "You need to see this. Emily is not who she pretends to be. She's been lying to you and manipulating everything." As the laptop booted up, Emily's cool demeanor shifted into one of desperation. "This is absurd, Olivia. You're just a child trying to get attention. Don't listen to her," she snapped. But the hint of panic in her voice was unmistakable. The screen came to life, displaying the messages Olivia had uncovered. One of the first messages read, "Once the wedding is over, we'll have access to everything. The accounts, the business, all of it." Gasps of shock rippled through the crowd as the gravity of the situation began to sink in. Then, as Olivia clicked through the messages, the chilling words about the poison and the plan to eliminate Jack flashed across the screen. "She's planning to hurt you, Dad," Olivia cried, her voice rising with urgency. "Look at what she's been saying." The crowd erupted in chaos as the evidence unfolded. Guests exchanged horrified glances, and Jack's expression shifted from confusion to disbelief. "Emily, is this true?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Emily's face turned pale, her carefully crafted mask falling away. "No, this isn't what it looks like," she shouted, her voice cracking under the weight of her lies. "Olivia is just trying to ruin everything." But it was too late. The truth was out, and the evidence was irrefutable. Jack stepped back, his expression a mix of hurt and betrayal. "How could you do this?" he whispered, looking at Emily with disbelief. As the chaos unfolded around them, Olivia felt a surge of relief mixed with fear. She had exposed the truth. But now the consequences of that truth were about to unfold, and she could only hope her father would see the reality of the situation before it was too late. The atmosphere in the backyard shifted dramatically as the guests processed the shocking revelations. Whispers of disbelief and confusion filled the air, drowning out the music that had once filled the space with joy. Jack stood frozen, his mind racing as he tried to comprehend the betrayal laid bare before him. Emily, desperate to salvage her image, stepped forward, her voice rising in panic. "You don't understand. This is all a misunderstanding. I love you, Jack. I would never hurt you." Her pleas fell flat against the overwhelming evidence displayed on the screen. "Love?" Jack echoed, his voice cold and filled with disappointment. "How could you claim to love me while plotting to take everything I have? You've been lying to me from the very start." The hurt in his voice was palpable, and Olivia could see the anguish in her father's eyes as he struggled to process the reality of the woman he had chosen to marry. Olivia felt a mix of relief and sorrow. She had exposed the truth, but the fallout was painful to witness. Friends and family exchanged incredulous glances, some whispering to one another, while others stared in disbelief. The once celebratory atmosphere had turned into a charged confrontation, and the wedding that was meant to symbolize love and unity had devolved into chaos. Jack turned to Olivia, his expression softening as he realized the depth of her courage. "I should have listened to you," he said, his voice shaking. "I'm so sorry for doubting you." He reached out, pulling Olivia into a tight embrace, and she felt the warmth of his love enveloping her like a protective shield. As the tension continued to simmer, Emily's facade completely shattered. "You can't do this to me," she shouted, her voice rising in desperation. "I've given you everything. I made you happy." But the guests were no longer swayed by her manipulative tactics. The truth had exposed her for who she really was, and the facade of kindness had crumbled. One of Jack's closest friends stepped forward, his expression serious. "It's time for you to leave, Emily. You've caused enough damage." The firmness in his voice resonated with the others, and more people began to echo their agreement. Realizing she was outnumbered and cornered, Emily's expression shifted from anger to fear. "You can't just throw me out," she cried. But her protests fell on deaf ears. As the crowd began to disperse, Olivia felt a wave of relief wash over her. She had faced her fears and stood up for her father, but the path ahead was still uncertain. The damage had been done, and while she had saved Jack from a devastating fate, their family would need to heal from the betrayal. Olivia knew it wouldn't be easy, but she was determined to help her father rebuild his life, one step at a time. As the dust began to settle, Olivia stood by her father, feeling a mix of triumph and exhaustion. The chaos of the wedding had transformed into an unexpected confrontation, and now, with Emily gone, it felt surreal. Guests were slowly leaving, their faces still showing disbelief at what they had witnessed. The joyful celebration had turned into a sobering reality, and Olivia knew the aftermath would be felt long after everyone had departed. Jack, still processing the whirlwind of events, took a deep breath and turned to Olivia, his eyes filled with gratitude and love. "I can't believe you stood up like that, sweetheart. You saved me," he said, his voice heavy with emotion. "I was so blinded by my feelings for Emily that I failed to see the truth right in front of me." Olivia felt a surge of warmth at his words. "I just wanted to protect you, Dad. I couldn't let you marry someone who didn't truly love you," she replied, her voice steady but soft. "You deserve someone who cares for you and values you, not someone who wants to take everything away." Jack nodded, a pained expression crossing his face. "I realize now that I rushed into things. I was so lonely after your mother's passing that I wanted to believe Emily was the answer to my loneliness, but I see now how wrong I was." As they stood together, the weight of the experience began to lift. Jack pulled Olivia into a tight hug, and she could feel the warmth of his love wrapping around her. "Thank you for being brave, for believing in the truth when I couldn't," he whispered. "I promise I'll make things right. We'll figure this out together." In the days that followed, Olivia and Jack began to rebuild their lives. They took time to talk about their feelings, allowing the wounds from Emily's betrayal to heal. Jack sought therapy to process his emotions and understand how he had let himself be deceived. Olivia, in turn, found comfort in sharing her thoughts and fears with her father, strengthening their bond in the process. The experience had taught them both invaluable lessons about trust, love, and the importance of communication. As they moved forward, they knew they could lean on each other, no matter the challenges they faced. The road ahead would not be easy, but together they would navigate the complexities of life, finding strength in their love for one another. In the end, Olivia realized that while the wedding had not turned out as expected, it had opened the door to a new beginning for their family. A chance to create a brighter future, free from deceit and filled with genuine love. And in that moment, she felt hopeful for what lay ahead.